and welcome back to the Unbothered podcast, where we like to chat all things the challenge. Today, we are interviewing someone you may know him from BB season 23, The Challenge USA, or more recently, The Challenge season 39, the one and only Mr. Kyland Young. Yay!
What's
We're so
up?
glad you're
Welcome.
here. Sophia,
Thanks
I
for
think
having
you were
me.
going to start off the questioning, right?
Yes, I will. So right off the bat, Kylan, how did it feel to compete on the flagship show, so this current season, versus Challenge USA?
Um, I mean, there's definitely a difference, and I feel like after I did, USA, that was my first experience in the challenge world, and I was like, oh, this is probably similar. And then coming to MTV, even without having, real vets there, um, there's just I feel like the biggest difference is going to be probably the type of gameplay in the sense of strategy. Everyone's wondering like, how does, Michelle and Jay take over a game or whatever? It's like, because none of these people besides Nerys know how to play games. Like they all came from random, dating shows or whatever.
Right.
Um, and so they just don't understand game dynamics. So it's really, you flock to whoever's in charge. I mean, we've seen that in the seasons with the vets. We've seen that across other games with when they bring in, whether it's Survivor or Big Brother, you bring in a player who's been there before, it's really easy for them to take over. So I think, and everyone here is pretty new, even though, not necessarily quote unquote rookies. Like a lot of us is our first time on MTV, and the people who were on MTV before only did one season, except for Jay and Michelle, and then like Melissa and Big T, but they'd been gone for the past like 3-4 seasons. So I think that's notable to have people that don't know how to play these games. And then the other thing would just be, age too. I was probably the fourth youngest guy on the Challenge USA, and I was the third or fourth oldest guy on MTV. So I think that is that adds a different layer, I think, just to the vibe overall. And like I said, MTV is, when I was on USA, it was all gamers. So it was like Survivor, and not just like random Survivor players. It's like a bunch of OG Survivor winners, greatest of all time level players. Same thing. We had some crazy good Big Brother players. Yeah, of course, Tyson. And Tyson's my guy. He's so funny. But I think it just is such a, and like, I've been listening, if you listen to any of like Johnny Bananas podcast, when he was talking about playing USA, and he's like, oh, he was just saying how like playing with a bunch of people who know how to play games was probably strategically like the most difficult thing he's ever done. And he didn't even have like the Tysons and, the Bens and the Xaviers and all these people. So it would be interesting if he had them.
What did you prefer though?
Or
did you have a preference?
I would say MTV. I don't know though, because I feel like my MTV season is so much like different than a lot of other MTV seasons by not having those OG vets. So I feel like that leads me to believe that MTV might be a little bit more fun, because I already had more fun and I didn't even have all those people there. So if I had to choose between those two, if I had the opportunity to pick between like doing another MTV or another USA, I think I would like the MTV. I don't know. And there's just something about the nostalgia of like being a part of the flagship. Even though the players weren't there, you knew that you were a part of this legacy.
Well, we know you're a fan. So did you, was there anybody that you were excited to meet? And not in this season, but just like OG challengers that you've met now that you're maybe a fan of, or?
Yes. Most of them. I think that's the thing. Like, I'm a fan of the show still. So it's like, I just had this happen. I was running. That's why I'm still sweating a little bit. Sorry. But I had this car pull this guy in like this.
So okay.
Thank you. I'll keep this guy in this work truck, like a cable work truck or something like that, yelled out. I was like, Kylan, and he pulled over, making me feel like Dwayne Johnson or something. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. And he's like, can't take a picture. And I was like, yeah, of course. Like, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm sorry to stop you. I was like, no, like this is so cool. I was like, I would stop somebody too. Like I've seen challengers. I remember even after USA, people who didn't know me and I saw them and I stopped them and I was like, hey, what's up? Just want to say hi and fan out a bit. And so I feel like everyone, and so far, I feel like it's been pretty positive experiences with everybody. And yeah, I mean, that's been it's been really cool. There's still some people I haven't gotten to meet. A lot of big people I haven't gotten to meet, but most I have, I feel like.
Could you give any names of the ones you haven't met? Just a few?
Yeah, so I haven't really met CT still because when they were there, we didn't get to like talk to them really. I haven't met Jordan. I mean, I met him like briefly at some event, said hi or something like that, but like that was before I did MTV and I think right before they left to Ride or Dies. And then I mean, those are probably like two of the bigger names I haven't met, I feel like.
Okay.
That I'm excited to meet. We've gotten the Johnnies and Cars, Laurels, like all of them, and I love, they're really great. So.
Well, I met CT, so.
Oh, okay.
I got to hug him. It was amazing. He smelled nice too. So.
love to hear
it. No, that was at a Challenge Mania. So.
Those are so fun.
They're so fun. I know. Yeah,
I just did a bowling.
A couple of them, and then I'm going to the one in Charlotte next month. So.
Oh, nice.
If you decide to show up, we can meet and say hi.
Okay. When is it? I'll look it up.
March 2nd.
Oh, I'll find out. All right.
Yeah, it's coming up quick. Yeah. So like I said, I know you're a fan of the show, and on the one episode you said you don't have to get ready if you stay ready, and you like whipped your shirt off and everything. Was that a nod to Ayanna?
Yeah, I mean,
you being excited.
No, I mean, I feel like it was one of those things where it's just like it was more like I understand why Ayanna did. She's like, I slept in my uniform, and it's just like, you know what, at this point you might as well. And that's what's funny too. I've mentioned before, like we tried to get Aracia's and Reese's uniforms too, but we just couldn't because of like, I guess, a laundry issue or something. And that's why it was also annoying when everybody was like, we didn't know this was going to happen. It's like, then why did we try and get all three of our uniforms out here? So definitely more of like a, homage to her than like, than just trying to rip it off or something.
It was a great moment. So
Thank you. It's cool. Like, it's like when you love the shows, like it's exciting to be a part of it. Like, I had the thing earlier, I don't know if you saw with like Dan's funeral, kind of little nod in one of the deliberations, because I was like, and I was wearing all black and I was already in the sand and was like, oh my God, like it just hit me while we were walking down. I was trying to think what to say. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is my moment, knowing that nobody there was going to have any idea what I was talking about or referencing even a little bit. But at least I knew, my big brother friends knew, so that was fun.
That's so cool. Yeah. I know Theo was going to ask you a question. Do you want to go ahead and?
Yeah. So what I was going to ask next was, were there any epic moments from the season that didn't make the edit? So like any other moments?
I'm trying to think. One. Okay, so I can think for like a minute and see if there's something really big comes to mind, and we can cut out the pause. Or I think of like less thing. Because I want to give you guys something. And I'm trying to think of something that hasn't been talked about. I'm like, who was there? We have I don't know if there's any big like epic moments or anything like that. I feel like there's so many conversations though that just happen on and off camera that like add to the stakes of the game maybe a little bit. And I think like something comes to mind is I remember oh man, I also don't want to like pile on anybody, but like me and Jay, after we had that like little argument thing, and I was like, And it's funny because you watch it back now, and I'm like, man, I wish I would have said something to him. But when he was popping off, I was like, well, he's sad because his friend. I'm not going to kick him while he's down, sort of deal. Not knowing that he was like talking big in the confessionals and stuff, and just so the general gameplay that he was having. So I feel like I. So anyway, that's why I didn't say anything. I was like, I'm going to go talk to Michelle. I'm going to tell her to calm him down. Thinking that she had a little bit more control over him than I now know that she did. But uh the next day or 2 days after, whatever, we have like, a little, they give us a little break. So we got to go out on like a little boat ride, and they'll still film and stuff. Sometimes you saw like some conversations that would happen there, but we were swimming in the ocean. I was sitting on the back of the boat. There's like no cameras, and Jay came over there, and me and Jay met like once or twice before the show and hung out, like had like a game night or something with some friends. So like friendly, but not like close or anything. But I liked him. And then so he came up and was just like, you know what? I'm sorry. Like, I don't know what you were laughing at. I could have been wrong. I thought you were, laughing us off, and which I wasn't. Me and Lasse weren't. So I was like, yeah, for sure. And he's like, just so you know, like, we had like a really nice heart to heart. And then he's just like, hey, like, I'm not afraid to run against you and Lasse on the final. Like, the game, the sides where they at, but like, it'd be great to have you guys there, sort of deal. And I'm just like, why use this? Like, why? It just felt like, why do this? Like watching it back, I'm like, why go that far? And again, it's not even because it's not even like it doesn't change anything. That's the thing. It's not like we had that conversation and I was gonna drop my guard and suddenly like because the conversation even ended like, hey, we're still on separate sides, and like that's okay. But like the game is separate, so it wasn't even like strategic. Like he was trying to drop my like. Then I'd understand if he was like, hey, you know what? Let's figure out if we can work together or something like that. Then I'd be like, all right, he was trying to game me, but he wasn't trying to game me. He was just saying stuff for no reason. And I'm just like, why do that? And like if you've seen the recent posts, and like I've always sat on the side, like on social media, you're never gonna see me like a low blow comment or something on Twitter. Like I'm never gonna like something that's talking about someone's looks or calling someone out of their name or whatever. Just I'll enjoy and get in on the game talk and stuff, but like the hate goes too far, and I don't like it, and I don't want anyone to use this as an excuse to do that. I just want to be clear, but it just was like, man, like I hear he's watching it, telling people like, yeah, I got the villain edit. I mean, I think you just got a very accurate edit, and you were a villain, and I wish you would own it. That would be good for you if you owned it, like a Wes. It would be so good for you. Like, yeah, we're and he's just like not, and I'm like, that's hurting you more.
Well, I think it doesn't come across. How do I want to say this? He was scared. He can say he
no, and then he says it constantly in his confessionals, in the show, in these conversations. And so I'm like, you could have just like, why would you lie to me? Like, what to what end?
Right. If you're gonna be a villain, at least play it up like I'm not scared. He was scared. Let's be real. We all know it. We all saw it. So
yes. Yeah.
Are you friends with him outside of like the game? Like, are you still friends with him, or you're just like, no?
I would say we weren't as close, so it's harder. So it's easier for me to like not take things personal. That's what I'd say. Sure. I know like him and Jay, like, Nerys, for example, or him and like even Nelson, who wasn't even there. But like I was just talking to Nelson, and I know both of them kind of don't have that friendship with him. And I think that I understand because they were closer. And like, so I think that for me, it's like we weren't close enough to like have some sort of falling out or something. I think it just kind of kept us where we're at, and I definitely don't love like I guess I haven't gotten deep in it, but I guess his like follow-up conversations haven't been super great with any of the girls that like I am still friends with, so I don't love that. I don't have any malice towards him or anything like that. I think just kind of I don't think he's a bad person by any means.
Who are you still friends with? Like, who do you hang out with?
I mean, Rasia and Nerys are like new family, and I love them, and me and Nerys, we've spent a lot of time together, just like because Rasia was doing a show and stuff too, and it's been, I don't know, it's been kind of cool too, because like, so me and Reese, when we first met like in person, we probably hung out like 2 or 3 times before that. And each of those times I was like talking to one of her friends. So like me and her have always met in like a platonic, like friendly way. So there's never been any sort of other thing. So we've just always have clicked really well on like that platonic level instantly. And then that came to life like in the house so much when we were like, gossiping about like her building a relationship with Horacio, and me like just cheerleading and pushing for that so hard, and super excited when that came to fruition. And so so we got to hang out a good amount, and then now that Horacio's back, we've gotten to hang out a few times. And I love them both, and they're just and then you got to, it's nice to have like, it was challenging obviously in the house to have such a small tight-knit group against the rest of the house, but
Sure.
it was but all it did was bond us more, so that was pretty special. And then we just got, and then it's like the cool thing too is when we've met people, any one of us, I've noticed more so than I think a lot of people, is that the feedback I get from you in person is like, "Oh, you're exactly who I thought you were. Like exactly who I saw in that was exactly who you were." And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, try to be." It takes a lot of energy to be anyone else, unless you're really committed to that character, like some of the challengers are, and that's each their own.
Well, we actually interviewed Horacio, and I think he's just a genuine. He's just a good guy. We loved him, and we feel you're the same way. Like you're just so likable. Your smile is just amazing. You just come across as just a genuine person. So that's really cool to watch.
Thank
You're
you
not
guys.
the
I
villain.
appreciate it.
You're not a villain for sure.
Yeah, for sure you're not a villain. I didn't see you as one either. Like
No.
your
Hey, I have a
gameplay is
question.
just sound though.
Would you ever go on a show like Traders or like Amazing Race or
Oh yeah, I'd say those two are probably at the top of the list outside of more
Yeah.
like Challenger Big Brother. Yeah, I'd say like I'm probably Amazing Race over Traders, or definitely Amazing Race over Traders, but both seem super fun. We play a lot of Mafia. I love Mafia.
Okay.
So Traders seem super fun. I would like to be a faithful should that ever be an opportunity. I feel like that would just cater to me better.
I feel like they would pick you though, just as a trader, just because you are so nice. Like, puts you in an
Oh
uncomfortable
gosh.
situation.
Oh gosh. Amazing Race obviously seems super fun. So I think definitely those two. Those are probably like the only two that really stand out besides like, more challenge, hopefully, in Big Brother.
You and Horacio would be a good team on Amazing Race.
Oh,
That would be awesome.
maybe. Yeah.
Or you and Nerys.
Yeah,
Facts. Oh
for
my
sure.
gosh. Yeah, she's so smart. Yeah, if
So
I could pull either of them away from each other, that'd be the
you're
dream,
probably
because that
gonna
was
say you're probably gonna say yes, but is she as beautiful in person as she looks on television? Because
both of them are. It's annoying.
oh, I know.
It's really annoying. Like it is. They crawl through the mud and they emerge from the mud like that, and it's like,
Supermodels. I know.
come on, guys, rude, just unreasonable. Yeah, it is. It's more impressive in person. It's outrageous.
That's amazing. Who's your Mount Rushmore on the challenge?
Oh man, I mean, like probably it's so hard, but I think it probably have to be CT, Cara, Bananas, and Laurel. I think if I have to go like two
Okay.
guys, two girls. I mean, I'd love to put Jordan up there as a competitor, but I think that like, Johnny's wins just it's so much, but it's also win ratio. Win ratio is actually not bad. So but Jordan's is just pretty exceptional, I think, but especially for the fewer seasons that he's done. And so I think that's the back and forth. Essentially, I think he's one of the few players that has 3 in a row of he played seasons that he played. So it's like, for me, he's like I go back and forth with him for sure. Being up there with them. And just as an athlete, I mean, he's probably better than both of them, but he's probably the best ever besides Horacio, I think, honestly. Like Horacio is just so good at so many things and has just this insane endurance that's just it makes sense. Like he lives at altitude in El Paso. I think El Paso is like a mile or two high, and he runs mountains for fun. So it makes sense. But yeah, that's probably the list. And I think I have a similar situation like Laurel and Cara with the stat on Sun Laurel's like fewer seasons, but like high win ratio, and then obviously both of them just have that crazy dominance in eliminations. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. We're huge Cara fans and CT, so good answer. Do you guys have any other questions about the show?
So what male and female partner would you want to compete with if you had a chance like to choose? I mean, it's probably an obvious answer, but like just out of anybody, like a ride or die type situation, like anybody you could pick, bets, anybody.
Oh my gosh. I don't even know. I feel like, okay, well, that's the thing. Then you have to go strategy a little bit. And I feel like that's where I have to pick people that have relationships because I don't. So I feel like that takes out like a Nerys and Horacio, who I have like a closer relationship with, and it adds in like pretty much any of those four. And if I was to look at those four, I think CT gets targeted less than Johnny. And then Laurel probably gets targeted less than Cara. So it's like that. I think something like that is where I'd have to consider who has the relation, or maybe like a Casey, because Casey seems to have crazy good positive relationships with so many people, and yeah, more. So I think that those are things. That's what I'd have to look at probably.
Since you're a huge challenge fan, what's one season that you love out of all of them, and which one do you hate out of all of them? Out of all the seasons that you've seen.
Oh gosh. Well, that's the thing is that I haven't watched all of the seasons. I've watched almost all of the challenges and eliminations, and now I've been going back and watching more of the seasons just for more info. But I'm trying to think of I'm trying to think of seasons that I watched all the way through that I didn't really enjoy.
Have you seen The Island?
I haven't, but I heard quite a bit.
That would be your answer for worse.
That's what I hear. That's what I've heard often. I was like, because the only reason I heard about The Island is because people were at first talking about 39. They're like, this is the new island. I was like, damn, guys, like I haven't even seen it, but I know enough to be offended. But I feel like that was before the last this last quarter of our season, I think really makes up for a lot. I feel like I get it. The first half, very slow, a little bit of a drudge. If you're just watching, I can totally sympathize with that. And just with having new people, like the connection I made was, I remember watching Invasion, because that was one where I just watched Challenges Elimination. So then I was watching the actual show, the season, and I was like, oh, I get it. Because as soon as the champs came, I was just like, screw all of these new people. I only they've done nothing, but I hate all of them. I just want the champs to move forward in this game. I do not care for these people. And so I think that was funny because like so many of them are like now staples, but it just was, when you see those other big names, it's just, I get why you don't like the newcomers. So I understood that. So I understand it. I relate to everybody. Same thing for champs versus stars. I relate to everybody. I'm like, you know what? Because I'm automatically against those new people as a fan. But I feel like when you look at the drama that's picked up and the competition that's picked up in the last quarter of our season, the second half of our season in general, I felt really picked up and moves us away from the rankings of The Island, for example. But as far as just seasons, I don't know. I mean. I am not I've never watched The Real World or Road Rules, so the old school seasons, I feel like can be even less appealing to me personally because I didn't grow up with that. But I did really enjoy Rivals 2 just for the level of competition that they had in there. Yeah. I enjoyed what's it called? I enjoyed Total Madness because I think that was introduced a lot of, and also as a Big Brother fan, that introduced Casey and Fessy to the game, and that was pretty cool because I love them. So, and War of the Worlds too was a fun one. Yeah, with Jordan and Tori and CT and all of them. Yeah, so I think those are some ones that stand out.
And
Now, are you?
do you have a daily challenge that you like and dislike? That's another question I had out of the season.
Any daily that involves eating, dislike. Don't like watching it. Don't like doing it. I don't understand why anybody gets any sort of entertainment or joy out of it. I'll never understand. I wish people didn't. And it's funny because I was like saying that in the house, and the Rossi was like, "Oh, that's like I laugh every time," and I was like, "Why? Why would you laugh? Would you watch that? That's terrible."
See,
I
and
will
as
say,
a
I will
viewer,
say,
I don't like that. I don't want to hear or see people throwing up. So
Tell us,
that's
Theo.
for me, it's TJ, because whenever TJ starts laughing, it's contagious. You can't help but laugh too.
But I mean, yes, I do love to see TJ laugh at people. But yeah, I'm with Tia. Like, no, just no entertainment, no joy. And then fun. I mean, I personally I like anything that is that takes a while. I like the long ones. I like the ones that are gonna bring in both mental and physical aspects that aren't gonna be done in like 2-minute rounds or something like that. Something that is the more involved and the more skill sets, and same thing for eliminations. The more skill sets involved, I think that's more exciting to me.
Well,
okay.
speaking of eliminations, would you want to see more physical eliminations again on the show?
Yes. Okay. So this is once again like a complicated one where I feel like sometimes people romanticize a little bit because there are like seasons where we have, cookie eating contests or whatever and eliminations. Like, let's not pretend that everything has always been a headbanger all the time, all times. Granted, there is a lot for sure. And I understand that. I think that the tricky thing for our season that at least is my belief is that they're bringing in these champs for these very quick appearances. Why bother risking injury before a monumental season like a season 40? I feel like that was probably their mindset, is my guess, was like, let's not risk it,
Right.
like any of these household names. And that's my guess. And who knows? And let's also save all the most iconic eliminations that people love to see for 40. That way we don't just repeat them back to back, because they do try and switch it up, I think, a lot for the past few years. So that's my guess. And so that just made sense to me. So I think that, like, as a big picture person, I wasn't upset about it. As a player who has a lot, a commentary on me, and I happened to do, a couple of eliminations this season. It was like, it would have been cooler for me to have more physical. Then you get to prove yourself on the physical level a little bit more. Because I'm not a small person. And
Right.
nobody in the house. Yeah, I mean, so it just was like, yeah, I think that would have been fun. But I understand, or at least I have a belief as to, an intuition as to why. So I'm not super upset about it. But I guess we'll see moving forward.
Now, are you watching the rest of the season?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we got Chip and Reese. We got watching her
Yeah.
just absolutely cook in that elimination with James and Olivia was amazing to watch. And yeah, and my pride doesn't let me go anywhere without mentioning that I finished those chains, by the way, the second one. So actually it was 2. I wasn't at 1 flag, but I finished right as she finished, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna race her, so I could have 2 flags. Like, I'd rather just cheer for her because she won. So yeah, I mean, she still, absolutely cooked me and Rossio too, but like the devastation with the 3 flags and like 0 flags and pretty much on the other side was pretty cool to watch. No surprise to us, but pretty cool.
Yeah. No, it was awesome seeing you guys cheer her too. So you could just tell you guys really like each other and everything. So that's cool. I think we had a couple of member questions. Katelynn, did you want to go ahead and ask yours?
Let me get it. It's from a fan on Twitter.
Nice.
Okay, his name is Ostacat on Twitter. He said he's autistic with ADHD like me, and I know I excel in chaotic situations because I've always learned to live with a chaotic mind. And I've always wondered if he feels the same way, if he thinks it benefits him in any way. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Well, thanks for the question. Thanks for connecting. I think that's the coolest part. I feel like since being on these shows and in public eye is like, you know, connecting with other people who relate, especially in like the neurodivergent sense and ADHD and autism. And I think that, yeah, it's exactly that. I feel like you can see how don't get me wrong, like it's still strenuous, it's still emotional, but it doesn't feel like chaotic, like because it is taking in lots of information and stuff. It doesn't feel like stressful. I feel like a lot of people feel stressed, and I feel like, I'm like, what? This is just fun. Like, what are you talking about? I think that's been pretty cool. And you know, I feel like the strenuous part is the hyper social element that is more intense than real life, and I think that's why like Big Brother is so traumatic, because it is the hyper social element, and then when you operate a little bit differently than other people, then I think it's highlighted even more so. And so that's still the part in the challenge that is that exists in all these games, but I think I thought the challenge would be a little bit less, would have a little bit less of that, but find out it's you know, not just as important, but similarly important even in that environment. And I think that so it's a double-edged sword for sure, but it definitely just this, you know, it provides both pros and cons.
Well, you met
Sure.
Amber
And then
B,
definitely in the
right?
challenges. Yeah. And I just was with her in Sacramento at Challenge Mania, and we were talking about that, and just and yeah, it really is like pros and cons. And Amber's so great, and I think, you know, she won her season. I think that it wasn't on accident. You know, obviously having CT helps, but if you watch like his home turf documentary episode, he still gives her roses and credit that a lot of people try not to. And yeah, I think that is evident.
Well, we love her here too, so she gets tons of credit. Theo, did you have another question?
Yeah, I did have another one. So, how did it feel to get props from TJ like throughout the season, especially in elimination?
Man.
How did it feel?
There's nothing like a TJ compliment. I will say it is. I mean, the way it makes me even like cheese right now, like it's so cool. You're just, it is. Yeah, I can think of few things that feel like that exciting. Yeah, TJ compliments are the coolest thing for sure.
Right.
Hey, if Olivia had picked Nerys, who would you have picked?
So well, I think Olivia had picked Nerys, then Nerys picked Horacio, and Horacio picks, I think Nerys picks Horacio, Horacio fits me. And then I would, by that point, I would look to them and see if they had a preference. And they would probably say Mariah, and I would personally have preferred James, because I just liked James more by that point, personally. But and James obviously would pick Mariah, so it wouldn't have mattered.
Sure.
And honestly, I probably would have done that. I think that they would be like, pick Mariah, and I'd be like, nah, I'm gonna pick James. I like James. And James is gonna pick Mariah anyways, guys. It's fine. Yeah, that's the only person, in my opinion, that has a bad edit is James. Like not from a game perspective, because game wise, like he's acknowledged multiple times, like he's like, Zara's right. Like I was just Mariah's third chihuahua or whatever. Like just with her lapdog doing whatever. But he also was the funniest person in the house. Like I feel like not even close, really. He's so funny. And yeah, and he's just such a big personality and funny guy. And so I think that was the only thing. But yeah, and I roomed with him like half the season, the second half of the season. So yeah, he was just a funny guy. And then even strategy wise, I was saying to someone just the other day, like I was like, the only people out of that whole majority alliance that I feel like made, like, you know, outside of Jay and Michelle, I feel like that made strategic decisions that made a difference in their game was James and Corey for me. Like Corey, we saw, you know, he moved from the bottom of the alliance. He was able to establish himself as a place where he was no longer looked at. And then James, very simply, strategy of just following what Mariah said, kept moving him forward in the game. And then everyone else for me, I feel like that I have trouble giving them credit, because I'm like, the things that you did didn't actually make a difference for you. But their things did. And so I think that was impressive.
Are you still
You still
friends with Olivia? I have to ask. Are you still friends with her? I want to
Um,
know.
it's complicated, I think, because we were obviously hurt when it happened.
Mhm.
And then, but I knew that she knew she made a mistake, because even strategically it didn't do anything for her. I think she knew that, and just made, like I said, these people aren't gamers. They're not really thinking like
right.
that. So, and she did realize, like, even in the moment when she was like, trying to ask TJ, it didn't show it, but she's talked about, she did ask, like, after the vote was over, like, hey, TJ, can I switch with Nerys and I'll go into elimination? And it wasn't insincere, but it didn't, but also it was more than too little too late. And even if he did let her, it still would have screwed over Horacio and myself. So it just was like,
All right.
especially because beforehand, we had conversations where I was just like, hey, even if it's me, that's fine. Like, just don't let it be, them, and definitely don't let it be Nerys, sort of deal. And so I think that was pretty hurtful in the moment. And then, but I'm a very empathetic, like, or sympathetic person. Like I want to, or gracious. Let me not say empathetic or something. More gracious. Like I believe in grace, and I've been forgiven for so many things myself. So I always want to extend that. And then I did, and then we talked, and I feel like we were, friends again. And also for me, it was tricky too, because it's like, I understand her relationships with other people were so much tighter, but going into the house, she was still my tightest relationship going into the house. So even if we were only at like a 6 and she was at a 10 with Horacio and Nerys, like the 6 was my 10, because I didn't have anybody that was, remotely that close.
Right.
So I think over, I feel like I haven't been asked this point blank and talked about it. Sorry, this answer is long. I think I'm processing it as I'm going. But so I think, we were building back and everything, and like I loved her, like as a person, like and still do, but I was hurt afterwards. And like we feel like we're rebuilding. And then she did her podcast episode where she like is pretty much saying that she wasn't really friends with Nerys and wasn't really friends with Horacio. And I like don't I legitimately can't speak to her relationship with Nerys, because like I wasn't there. I do believe Nerys, and even Olivia's words prior to that podcast where she was talking about them being friends and everything, like best friends in the house. I feel like we see that in the house, so it does feel weird for her to backtrack on that. But I can't speak to that. I can speak to her relationship with Horacio, because I saw them together and I hung out with them together, and I've gotten to know him, and I know how small his circle is and how few people it's in and how much he let in Olivia. And so when she was on like her show and just talking about how it wasn't really friends like that, I was like, that was unnecessary. And it just felt disrespectful and almost cruel even. And I was like,
Yeah.
because he is that nice. You guys have talked to him. He is as nice as you've seen.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, I feel like she felt backed into the corner because of this, inappropriate backlash she's getting for something that happened on a TV show for people that don't really, aren't really affected. And so like I still have grace for it. And even now, like I understand why she did it, but it was hurtful. And also it was weird because we talked right before she did that podcast for like a good amount of time. And it was like, and then she went on and said things that were contrary to what we talked about minutes before her recording. So I was just like, it felt like, okay, why did you talk to me then? Like, why did you bother to talk to me if you were just going to say these other things? And I haven't heard from her since she put that out, and I feel like I haven't really commented on it or anything. So I think that is, I don't know. I don't know what she's going through. I mean, I hope that I wish her the best, and I hope to be able to talk more in the future. And I'm not opposed to rebuild. I know that she's definitely permanently burned bridges with other people. I'm definitely, I'm not as quick to defend her on things right now because I haven't heard from her. But I still, am against anybody that's, trying to be malicious towards her. And I, yeah. So I mean, I'd say it's still hurt right now, and we'll see. Yeah, I mean, she's not blocked on my phone, so.
You're just you're a forgiving person.
Yeah, that yeah, that was just that hurt, and that made me sad to see.
Yeah. Oh, we don't want to bring this down.
No, I mean it's tricky. It's so
Bring it
weird
back
because
up.
it's like people always talk about like, these are games, and it's just like, I don't understand. And it's just like, but you haven't experienced it. Like, it's reality TV because we're real people with real
Right.
lives. And
Right.
so, and for me, like I said, it's not even the game stuff. That's why I'm like, I don't have any ill will with Jay. I'm just like, but it is the stuff that happens outside of the game, I think, where it becomes more personal. Then it's like, ooh, how are things handled outside of the game afterwards, whatever. I think that is significant. And then inside the game, I understand it too, because it's just like most people just haven't experienced an interaction with these stakes in their life. Like, you just don't, there's no,
Right.
it's very specific environment, very specific thing. And it's funny because I feel like the only people who play these games who still have that position are ones who have never been betrayed. And so it's like outside, and I'm like, well, you might feel differently if you ever actually experience a betrayal at that level. And I've said it in many podcasts, like betrayal in itself, outside of being cheated on, people don't have an opportunity to experience betrayal in their life. Like, it just doesn't come up in most situations. It's just a weird thing, we're so
That's true.
I think that, yeah.
I never would have thought about it like that, but yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any other questions for Kylan?
I will ask this. So, who would you suggest from like your Big Brother season to appear on the challenge?
Well, we had a few of them on USA, and I think that like, I mean, I've talked to X a good amount. I think he's well suited for so many things. I think that he's even mentioned how like probably would lean away from MTV, which is a good idea because he's engaged, and that environment is not good for anybody in relationships, as we've seen repeatedly. So I think that for just so many people, so he's smart enough to know that he's like, yeah. But I mean, I'd love to see him on more USA. I mean, I'd love to go with him on Saves USA and actually, like, maybe work together. That'd be pretty cool. Especially because of how close we've gotten. So I think, and then, I'm trying to think of who else from my season.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know who else from my season. I mean, I know Big D for sure has an interest. He's been working out a lot, trying to get into like shape to compete, and like he's such a big personality. I for sure think he belongs in reality television in general. And then yeah, I don't know who else wants to do it. I think that's the thing because it is such. Oh, Christian from my season would absolutely cook. I think in either one, in MTV or USA. He's smart. He's strong. He's good at puzzles. He is a absolute like. He's physical. I think that's the only thing that separates him from like DX, for example. Like DX, Derek X from my season, winner of Amazing Race, like probably my best friend from the reality space, and just is becoming a brother in real life. And he is so good at so many things. Also, he's just a little bit smaller, so I think that presents a little bit of a challenge in that environment. Whereas like a Christian is Derek is probably one of the smartest people I've ever met, besides like Chada, but at least from that season. Chada, Derek, Claire are just, and Tiffany, they're just absolute like so cerebral. But yeah, but anyways, but yeah, Christian for sure would love to see him in more things. And then Alyssa's just like one of my best friends, and she's the same thing. She's smaller, but she holds her own in a lot of scenarios. And so I want yeah, whenever she wants to do, I want to see her.
Nice. Love that list.
All right. If you guys don't have any other questions, we can wrap it up with the 3 weird questions that we always end with. So if you're ready. So first question, do you sing in the shower?
No, not at all. I don't sing anywhere. I avoid karaoke as much as possible. Yeah, I don't know.
Just not a good singer, or you just don't
talents.
Yeah.
Zero musical talents, and yeah, and just not good at it, and just never just not something that I tend to do. I listen to a lot of things in the shower, but yeah, or watch things.
Yeah, same. I listen to music when I'm there, but I don't sing. I'm a terrible singer. Do you have a favorite
Katelynn, Theo?
dinosaur?
Oh, about
Oh,
that
Told us
same
that she's-
question?
do you sing in the shower?
Okay.
Oh,
I'm
yeah, I do.
yes, I do.
I suck at singing, but I'll still do it.
We have
I'm
fun
not
with
sure
it.
if
I
I have
support
a
it.
good voice, but I do it. How
Okay.
about
Yeah, why not have fun?
It's just relaxing.
It is.
Where you sound best anyway, right? That's what
Yeah.
they say.
Right?
Do you have a favorite dinosaur?
Velociraptors.
Ooh,
think-
me too.
Yeah.
It's the noise. It's that
The
noise they make.
noise, and they're smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just the Velociraptors are just really cool. I don't know. They're fast, they're smart.
Yeah. They
Jurassic Park
hunt
makes
like
them look
in
really cool.
packs.
Yeah, I hunt
Yeah.
in packs, they set traps,
Yeah.
all of it.
Clever
Clever
girl.
girl. I have a shirt. Hey, yeah. I have a shirt that says clever girl and has a little like Velociraptor claw on it.
I love that. All right. And number 3, if you were invisible for one day, what would you do?
I don't know. I feel like one day is like a relatively short amount of time. You can only do so much.
That's why you have to make it good.
I know, but like,
You got to think about it first.
yeah, I don't know what. I mean, what am I gonna do while being invisible? Because it's not like I can't. Like I'm still. I couldn't steal from a bank because you're still can't walk through walls
Right.
or anything, so I can't make money. And you, yeah, there's no one that I feel a need to eavesdrop on. There's no information I'm thinking of that I'm looking for.
Maybe if you were
I'd
in the
probably just
challenge
pull some
house.
pranks, make some cool videos,
Oh, yeah.
with by pull some pranks, something like that. Something I feel like I don't know, maybe practical answer, but I feel like that's the simplest thing that you could do in that time frame with that ability.
Good answer. Yeah, I have no idea what I would do.
Me either.
If I was
That's
invisible
hard.
for a day. I'd have to think about it hard,
I
but
did think of one. I could get like John Cena merchandise and then just pretend to be John Cena for a day.
Oh my God.
That would be awesome. See, we can collaborate on the video.
There you go.
That would be amazing.
Do you have
All
any
right.
questions for us that you want to know or anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing. What who would you guys like besides? I mean, it sounds like you guys might be in support of me and Maurice and Horacio. Who else stood out
For
to you
sure.
guys in positive ways from our season, if anybody?
Okay.
Yeah, I liked Olivia, but she really disappointed me. That's why I asked you because I wanted to hear like every single side because I did watch her podcast and like I was like, I'm just gonna give her the benefit of the doubt. And then like I just saw everyone else's sides and like I did like her and it just makes me really sad because like it's just
Me too.
crazy. And then also Jay, I was so mad whenever Rogan hurt him and then like this season he's just a whole different person too and it's just like go away. I don't know anybody else really. This season.
I was a Jay fan on Survivor. And I liked him even on the challenge when he's been on. I did not care for him. I have not cared for him this season. I like Michelle. I know a lot of people don't, and they make fun of her voice. I actually love her voice.
I didn't know people were making fun of her voice.
They find it annoying. I love her voice.
Me and Michelle may have talked more than almost. And Michelle obviously had a lot of conversations with a lot of people, but I feel like we probably talked. We were in each other's top people that we talked to the most while we were in the house, and then post show we talk a lot too. She's like just a really good friend. She's somebody that she builds those relationships with people so well because she is such a good like listener and she is a very empathetic, very caring person. And usually not always, but usually does seek to understand other people when she doesn't understand. Like she's pretty good at at like owning up if she's wrong about something, or like being open to being wrong, being open to other people's interpretations of things. And that's something I value and something I strive for in general. And I think that's, like I said, why she becomes such a good listener. So yeah, I mean, I love Michelle, and it was funny because in the house we probably talked the most, because I think because of the fact that we like each other and didn't expect anything from each other, because we knew kind of where the sides were on. So like the end of the conversation was always like, man, like too bad we can't find a way to work together, but really enjoy our chats. And which is funny to me because I was like, I'm down to work with you, for the record. And it's just your boy that's after me and the only friends I have in the house. But yeah, if you want to get that under control, then for sure, because my girls are your girls, Olivia and Maurice. So but obviously she had so many people, so it never worked. But so many people who wanted us out specifically. But yeah, I didn't even know her voice is a thing. I love her voice.
Yeah. I don't
Theo,
know.
sorry, I didn't like
People
it.
talking about it. A lot of people talk about it.
Yeah. And then my choices would be, well, I'm also a Michelle fan too. It's just that it was hard to root for her when she went against Cara, because I'm a Cara guy, right? So I was like, you know, but I was happy for her that she won. But at the same time, I was not happy because Cara lost. Right? So apart from her, I would say Zara.
Oh, Zara!
Yeah, Zara was a good one.
I love Zara.
Love her.
She was a beast
She's
in the
funny.
game. Like when she took off her shoes to climb up the wall.
Kill it in a final too.
Oh, I believe so.
Absolutely. Her running's insane.
She ran across the top of water in one of the dailies or whatever. I was like, what?
Yeah. No, she is so fast. It's outrageous. Like, yeah, her and
see, I think she's funny. She comes across as funny, like on the show, like unintentionally funny. Yeah.
Yes. She's unintentionally funny because she's just wild. She just is, like, most of her conversations were yelling. Like in a fun way. Like not like yelling angry, but just like, yeah, guys, let's do it. Okay. But like funny, and she's spunky. She's so spunky. Like, yeah, she's I love Za.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I like her too.
And then the last name would be Raven.
Like, of course, yeah.
Yeah, like she was great.
She showed up and showed out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
she did.
Her return, you know what I mean? Like, she's easily a fan favorite to me.
I was actually iffy on her at first, and now I love her. So I want to see her back.
No, I think there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's fun. She kicked ass for sure.
Yeah, she did. All right, guys. Well, I think we're done. This was wonderful. You were great. Thank you for coming and talking to us. This was fun.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for I like I said, I'm a fan of the show. I'm a fan of podcasts. I have a podcast. I've done some other podcasts and stuff. I know it's a lot of work, and so definitely want to commend you guys for all that you do consistently, bring it together. And thanks for having me, and thanks for the flexibility and timing. And yeah, I really appreciate you guys for watching and having me here.
Sorry, Frankie couldn't join. He was supposed to, but he's working.
Well, and he's actually the only one of us that's met you. He has pictures with you.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and he had to work. We were sad.
Well, we'll do another one day, and we'll have him here.
Make sure Frankie's here. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. So I'm going to let everybody know where they can find us, and I wrote it down because I cannot remember anything. So on Facebook, we're The Challenge Unbothered. On Instagram, it's at The Challenge Unbothered. YouTube is The Unbothered Podcast, and Twitter is Unbothered Pod 1. So you guys go check us out. Go check out Kyland Young. He's amazing. And again, thanks for being here. And I guess that's it. We'll wrap it up.
Thank you guys so much again. Thanks for having me. And yes, everyone, check out Unbothered on all the socials. And
what are your socials? Do you want to tell people?
It's just Kyland Young everywhere except TikTok. TikTok's Kyland.Young.
All right. Go check them out. All right. Thanks.